The cafe on Starhaven Station was always busy at this hour. Ships from 100 worlds arrived and left every day. And travelers from every corner of the galaxy came here to rest, talk, or enjoy food from different planets. Soft lights glowed from the ceiling like warm little stars, and the smell of baked bread mixed with the sweet scent of alien flowers placed on each table. Leora, a young human waitress, moved through the tables with practiced ease. She had only worked here for 6 months, but she already knew the habits of the customers. The tall, feathered Aeolans liked warm drinks with gentle steam clouds. The tiny rock folk preferred bowls filled with heated minerals. And the floating jelly creatures liked to drift near the glowing lanterns. Leora smiled as she passed each table. Her smile was small but warm, the kind that made people feel comfortable. She enjoyed meeting new beings every day. Even if she did not understand all their languages, she liked helping others feel at home in a place far away from their own. Her shift was almost over. She looked at the clock near the kitchen door and stretched her shoulders with a small sigh of relief. Only a few minutes left. Just as she turned to collect empty plates from a booth, she heard it. A soft, sad sound. It was not loud. It was delicate, like the smallest chime touched by wind. But there was something hurting inside that sound. Something lonely. Leora paused. There, behind a half-curved privacy screen at the corner of the cafe, she saw a tiny shape curled up on the seat. At first, she thought it might be some small pet someone left behind. But as she stepped a little closer, she saw shimmering scales, soft gold and pale blue, glowing faintly like morning sunlight. A dragonling. Her breath caught in her throat. She had never seen one this close before. Dragonlings were rare. They were usually surrounded by guards or parents. They were treated with great respect across the galaxy for their sensitivity and intelligence, and they were almost never alone. But this one was alone, trembling like a scared kitten. The dragonling made another quiet sound, and its frills folded back in distress. Its tiny wings pressed tightly against its body. Its eyes, bright like purple glass, were wet around the edges. Leora felt her heart squeeze. She had no training for this. She had no idea what the proper rule was for approaching a dragonling. But she knew one thing very well. No child, no matter the species, should be left to cry like this. She looked around for the guardian or parent. No one seemed to be paying attention. The booth was empty, except for the small creature. The cafe manager was busy arguing with a supplier. Another waitress was carrying a tray of desserts. And the customers, most of them were too focused on their own meals to notice. Leora wiped her palms on her apron and slowly stepped closer. "Hello," she said softly, her voice gentle. "Are you all right?" The dragonling lifted its head. Light shimmered across its scales like ripples on water. It blinked at her, confused, then let out a small, sad chirp and curled in tighter. Leora's heart softened even more. "It's okay," she whispered. "I'm not going to touch you. I just want to help." She stayed a few steps away so the little one would not feel scared. She remembered something her grandmother had told her long ago. When words fail, kindness can still be heard. So she did what she used to do for her baby cousins on Earth. She hummed a simple lullaby, soft, warm, peaceful. The dragonling's ears twitched. Its wings loosened a little. Leora continued humming, letting the melody float through the quiet booth like a gentle breeze. The dragonling lifted its head again, slowly this time. Its small body relaxed bit by bit, and its glowing scales brightened in a calm rhythm. Leora smiled softly. The little creature shuffled closer to her, curious and comforted by the sound. "That's it," she whispered kindly. "You're safe." She hummed a little louder, adding a few gentle notes. The dragonling tilted its head, listening carefully. It made a soft chirp, but this time, it sounded more curious than sad. Leora took a slow breath. She didn't know why the lullaby helped, but she was glad it did. Maybe music truly did cross all barriers. Then, from the entrance of the booth, a warm but powerful voice spoke. "I have never seen a dragonling respond to a human song so quickly." Leora gasped and turned. A tall figure stood there. Not tall, like a normal tall person, this one had a presence that seemed to fill the entire space. His clothes were travel-worn but elegant, made from soft layers of dark fabric that shimmered slightly, like starlight trapped inside cloth. His eyes glowed a deep gold, thoughtful and ancient, yet kind. A pair of folded wings rested behind his shoulders, hidden under a long cloak but still unmistakable. A dragon. An adult one. No, not just an adult. Leora recognized the symbol pinned near his collar. It was shaped like a rising sun made of crystal, with 8 rays stretching outward. She had seen it only in news reports and station guides. It was the royal crest of the Dragon Empire, which meant her breath left her body in a tiny gasp. This was Emperor Zevrath Solaris, ruler of 1,000 dragon clans, keeper of the Starflame, and one of the most respected leaders in the galaxy. Here, in a small cafe, watching her sing to his child, Leora felt her knees weaken. She opened her mouth to speak, to apologize for stepping near royal family space, but the Emperor lifted a gentle hand. "You did nothing wrong," he said calmly. "In fact, you did what no one else did." His voice held a kind warmth that surprised her. She expected something loud or commanding, but instead it felt steady and comforting. The Dragonling chirped happily and crawled toward him. Zevrath picked the little creature up with gentle, careful movements. He held the Dragonling close, brushing a hand over its frills. The scales glowed with soft affection. But then something remarkable happened. The Dragonling reached away from the Emperor's chest and stretched its tiny claws toward Leora. The Emperor blinked in surprise. "It wants you," he murmured. Leora felt her cheeks warm. "I was just humming." "I didn't do much." Zevrath shook his head slowly. For Orlin to respond to someone outside the dragon species so naturally, it is rare. He looked at her, his golden eyes thoughtful. "May I ask your name?" Leora," she said, still overwhelmed. "I'm just a waitress here. A waiter or a ruler." "It does not matter," the Emperor said gently. "You helped my child when he felt alone." Orlin chirped again, stretching little wings toward her as if asking for another song. Zevrath looked at the Dragonling, then at Leora, then back at the Dragonling with raised brows. He gave a quiet laugh, soft, almost surprised, before speaking again. "It seems he has chosen you as a source of comfort." Leora blinked. I'm honored, truly." She stepped a little closer. Orlin reached out and rested his tiny head on Leora's hand. His scales felt warm, soft like sun-warmed metal. He let out a peaceful hum, clearly recognizing her as someone safe. Zevrath watched this scene with a thoughtful calmness. Something in his expression changed, not dramatically, but gently, like the first light of dawn touching the horizon. "Leora," he said quietly, "thank you." "I'm glad I could help," she replied honestly. The Emperor looked at his Dragonling, now half asleep in her hand, and breathed out a soft sigh of relief. "For the first time today," he said, "I believe Orlin will be all right." And for the first time since the Emperor entered the cafe, Leora felt the heavy air around them lighten just a little, as a quiet bond formed between a human, a Dragonling, and the Dragon Emperor who watched them. The cafe slowly grew quiet, as customers finished their meals and left. The soft lights dimmed for evening mode, giving everything a warm golden glow, but Leora barely noticed any of it. Her attention stayed on the Dragonling, sleeping peacefully in her hand, and the tall figure standing near her, the Dragon Emperor himself. Leora had never expected her ordinary workday to turn into something so strange and amazing. She felt like she had stepped into a story she was not prepared for. She kept waiting for someone to tap her shoulder and tell her this was all a mistake, or some dream her brain invented after too many late shifts. But no one did. This was real. Orlin, the tiny Dragonling, took a soft breath and curled closer to her palm, as if her warmth made him feel safe. His scales glowed gently with a soft pastel shimmer. Zevrath Solaris watched them closely. Not with suspicion, but with curiosity. His golden eyes held a deep calmness, like a quiet sun. "You have a gentle presence," he said slowly. Orlin does not usually trust strangers so quickly. Leora lowered her head shyly. I didn't do anything special. I only sang a little. Humans often underestimate their own abilities, Zevrath replied. Your song carried the exact tone that calmed him. You spoke with kindness, without expecting anything in return. Leora looked at him, slightly confused. Is that rare? For my kind. He gave a soft smile. Yes. He gestured to the seat across from him in the booth. May you sit? Leora nodded and sat, placing Orlin gently in her lap. Zevrath sat on the opposite side, folding his large wings behind him like someone folding a long cloak. The booth suddenly felt smaller with his presence, but not in an uncomfortable way, more like a warm, quiet space where important things were happening. Leora cleared her throat. Your Majesty. I didn't know he was alone. If I had seen you earlier, I would have stepped back. You acted because you cared, Zevrath said. Not because of who I am, or what my title is. I value that. His words surprised her. She always imagined rulers to be distant and formal. Yet Zevrath spoke gently, as if he preferred sincerity over ceremony. Orlin moved again, nuzzling Leora's wrist. Zevrath's eyes softened. He has been unsettled these last few days. New environments can overwhelm a Dragonling. Is he on a long journey? Leora asked. Zevrath nodded. Yes. We have diplomatic meetings across several star systems. Travel is important, but it can be challenging for one so young. Leora glanced down at the Dragonling. Poor little thing. Being away from home is hard. The Emperor looked surprised. You speak as if you understand. Leora smiled faintly. I moved to this station alone when I got the cafe job. At first, everything felt big and strange. I didn't know anyone. I missed my home too. Zevrath listened carefully, as if her experiences mattered to him. And how did you adapt? Slowly, she admitted. I learned the station map, made some friends, found small routines to feel safe. And, sometimes, music helped. Music, Zevrath repeated thoughtfully. It soothes your people as well. It soothes all people, Leora said. And maybe dragons too. Zevrath looked at Orlin and nodded. It seems so. For a moment, the booth fell into a comfortable silence. Leora stroked the Dragonling's small head carefully. Orlin made a tiny pleased sound, like a soft purr. Zevrath watched the two of them with a thoughtful expression. It was the look of someone seeing something new, something surprising. Leora, he began. Would you allow me to ask something unusual? She blinked. Yes? Would you be willing to help Orlin again tomorrow? Leora's eyes widened. Me? You brought him comfort in minutes, Zevrath said. My advisors trained in Dragonling care have not had such success. He responds to your voice, your calm nature, and your kindness. But I'm not trained, she protested. I'm not a healer or a caretaker. You are something more important, Zevrath said gently. You are someone he trusts. Leora looked down at Orlin, who curled sleepily closer as if agreeing. Her heart melted a little. I'd love to help, she said honestly. If you think it's useful. Zevrath nodded gratefully. I appreciate it more than you know. Just then, the cafe manager, Mr. Reynolds, approached the booth. He was a round, flustered man who always worried too much. When he saw the Emperor, he nearly dropped the plate in his hand. Your Majesty, I apologize. If we had known you were here, Zevrath raised a hand kindly. Please, do not trouble yourself. Your employee acted with great compassion. She did perfectly. The manager blinked, caught between shock and pride. He bowed several times before hurrying away, mumbling about replacing the lights with nicer ones before tomorrow. Leora hid a smile. She knew Mr. Reynolds would spend the next week telling everyone the Dragon Emperor complimented his cafe. He would probably frame the booth seat too. Zevrath looked amused. Your manager seems enthusiastic. That's a gentle way to put it, Leora said with a small laugh. Orlin yawned. A small sparkle of harmless light puffed out from his tiny mouth like a glitter cloud. Leora giggled softly. He's adorable, she said. Zevrath tilted his head. Most people call dragonlings majestic or noble. You are the first to say adorable. But he is, she insisted. Look at him. Zevrath looked, really looked, and then gave a small, warm chuckle. Yes, he admitted quietly. He is. Another moment passed. The cafe lights dimmed a little more, signaling closing time. Leora straightened in her seat. Oh, I'm sorry. Your Majesty. I think we're closing soon. Should I bring anything for you? Tea? Dessert? Zevrath shook his head. No. You have already given us the most valuable thing. Comfort. Leora blushed at the compliment. Zevrath gently lifted Orlin from her lap. The dragonling stirred and reached for Leora again, but Zevrath soothed him with a soft hum of his own. Orlin relaxed in his father's arms. Will he be okay tonight? Leora asked with concern. Yes, Zevrath said. Your song eased his heart. I believe he will sleep well. Leora felt proud, but also shy. She stood and smoothed her apron, not knowing what the proper farewell was for an emperor. Bowing seemed too formal. Waving seemed too casual, so she simply placed a hand over her heart in a quiet greeting. Zevrath noticed and returned the gesture in a graceful motion. Thank you, Leora. Any time, Your Majesty. He paused and gently. You may call me Zevrath. Leora blinked. Are you sure? Titles create distance, he said softly. She nodded slowly. Then, good night, Zevrath. Something warm flickered in his eyes at the sound of his name spoken with such gentle honesty. Good night, Leora. He turned to leave, but before he walked away fully, he glanced back one more time. His gaze held a quiet expression she couldn't quite read, something like respect, curiosity, and a spark of something softer. Orlin blinked sleepily at Leora from his father's arms and chirped a tiny goodbye. Leora watched them disappear through the exit of the cafe. When they were gone, she finally let out the long breath she had been holding. What just happened? She whispered to herself. She looked around at the now empty cafe, the chairs neatly arranged, the soft lights glowing calmly. Everything looked normal, but her world had changed in a small, unexpected way. A dragonling trusted her, an emperor thanked her, and tomorrow, she would see them again. For the first time in months, Leora walked home with a smile that reached her eyes, one she didn't have to force. Something new and gentle had entered her life. Something warm. She didn't know it yet. But this simple act of kindness would slowly build a bridge between two hearts and two worlds. Morning arrived gently on Starhaven Station. Soft white lights brightened the curved hallways, and the slow hum of ships docking filled the air like calm background music. Leora walked through the station with a mixture of excitement and nervousness bubbling in her chest. She kept repeating the same thought over and over. I'm meeting the Emperor again. It felt strange. Unreal even. She was just a simple waitress. He was someone important. Someone respected across the galaxy. And yet, he had looked at her yesterday as if she mattered, as if her small kindness meant something truly valuable. She hugged her small bag closer to her chest. Inside it, she had brought a few things that might help Orlin, small bells that made gentle sounds, a soft cloth in case the dragonling liked textures, and even a small music player with recordings of relaxing earth melodies. She hoped she wasn't overthinking it. When she reached the cafe, the doors were still locked. Her shift would start later, but today she wasn't here to work. She was here because the Emperor had asked her to meet him at the Garden Dome on level 5. She took a slow breath and walked toward the station lift. Every step felt both light and heavy. Light because she was happy. Heavy because she wanted to do well and not disappoint anyone, especially not Orlin. When the lift doors opened, she stepped inside. The small space filled with a soft breeze scent, and a friendly voice said, Level 5. Garden Dome. As the doors closed, Leora pressed her hands together nervously. Okay. Just breathe, she whispered to herself. The lift rose smoothly and opened into a large hallway filled with sunlight, artificial sunlight created by the dome's systems. It looked real enough. Warm enough. Leora stepped into the garden dome and froze for a moment. It was beautiful. Tall crystal trees grew in gentle curves, their branches glowing with soft blues and greens. Flowers floated slightly above the ground, lifted by small gravity pockets. Streams of water moved in organized paths, making soft ripples that calmed the mind. It felt peaceful, like stepping into a dream made of nature. Near one of the glowing ponds, a familiar figure stood with his back toward her. Wings folded neatly, posture calm, long cloak shimmering like quiet night sky. He turned slowly when he sensed her approach. The Emperor Zevrath Solaris smiled softly, the kind of smile that made Leora's breath pause for a heartbeat. "Good morning, Leora." "Good morning," she said, feeling a little shy but trying to stay steady. A small chirp echoed from the grass. Orlin, the tiny dragonling, bounced toward her with bright glowing scales. He fluttered his small wings happily, almost like he was greeting a close friend. Leora laughed quietly. "Hello, little one." Orlin pressed against her ankle, humming warmly. Zevrath watched with clear approval. "He has been waiting for you," the Emperor said gently. "He became restless when morning came. I believe he recognized the time you were supposed to arrive." Leora knelt and let Orlin climb into her hands. "I missed you too," she said softly. Orlin snuggled close immediately. Zevrath stepped forward. "Thank you for coming. I hope the journey here was smooth." "It was easy," Leora said. "I've never been to this dome before." "It's beautiful. I chose it for a reason," Zevrath replied. "Its calm atmosphere helps Orlin relax. And I thought, it might make you feel comfortable too." His words warmed her. She looked around again, noticing how the light reflected on the water and how the trees whispered softly as if welcoming her. "It's perfect," she said sincerely. Zevrath gave a soft nod. "Shall we begin?" Leora sat on a smooth stone bench near the pond. Zevrath sat on a larger stone nearby, folding his wings carefully so they wouldn't brush the flowers. Orlin settled on Leora's lap, letting out a soft hum. "Would you like to sing again?" Zevrath asked. Leora nodded. "Of course." She opened her small music player and played a gentle melody, slow, warm, reminding her of home. She hummed along with it, soft and steady. Orlin responded instantly. His scales glowed in slow, rhythmic patterns, matching the music like ripples of color. His tiny wings relaxed, and he stretched out on her lap comfortably. Zevrath watched with quiet amazement. "Extraordinary," he murmured. "Your presence stabilizes him in ways we have not seen before." Leora looked a bit embarrassed. "I'm happy he likes me. He's very sweet." "He is," Zevrath agreed. "But he is also highly sensitive. Dragonlings communicate mostly through emotional energy. If someone around them feels anxious or insincere, they sense it. Yet with you, he feels only calm." "Oh," Leora nodded slowly. "It's easy to feel calm when he's around. He's gentle." Zevrath raised an eyebrow with quiet amusement. "Most people would not describe a dragon, even a young one, as gentle." "I'm not most people," Leora said with a small smile. Zevrath smiled too. Orlin shifted a little, nudging Leora's hand. She gently tapped the small bell she brought. Its sound was soft and cheerful. Orlin reacted with interest, stretching toward it. Zevrath leaned forward. "He likes it?" "Yes," Leora said softly. "The sound is light. Maybe it feels safe to him." She let Orlin touch the bell. The dragonling chirped, excited by the delicate tone. His small claws tapped it again, making a tiny melody. Leora laughed quietly. "You're talented," she said to the little creature. Zevrath's eyes softened even more. "It seems he has found a friend." Leora paused at the word friend. It felt warm, unexpected, and strangely comforting. She looked at Zevrath. "I'm glad I can help, and I am grateful," he replied. There was a small pause before he continued. "I must admit something, Leora." "Yes?" "This is the first time in many years that I have had a peaceful morning like this." Leora blinked. "Really?" "Yes." His voice was gentle, thoughtful. "As Emperor, my days are filled with decisions, meetings, responsibilities, and distance. He looked at Orlin. This is the first time in a long while that I have been simply a father sitting with someone who cares for his child. Leora's heart softened at his words. She realized then that even great leaders felt lonely sometimes. Even someone powerful could long for simple moments like this. Everyone deserves peace sometimes, she said quietly. Zevrath looked at her, really looked. His golden eyes held a warmth she hadn't seen yesterday. You speak with wisdom, he said. She blushed a little. I just speak what I feel. A soft breeze passed through the dome. Leaves rustled gently. Orlin hummed. Happy and relaxed. Zevrath shifted slightly, his wings shimmering like painted silk. Leora, may I ask something? Of course, she said. Would you be willing to meet with us again during our stay here? His tone was respectful. Careful. Orlin benefits greatly from your presence. But beyond that, he paused, choosing his words softly. I find our conversations refreshing. Leora felt her heart flutter. She nodded slowly. I'd like that. Zevrath exhaled lightly, almost in relief. Then, it is settled. Orlin hopped from her lap to her shoulder and rubbed his head against her cheek. She laughed, the sound bright and cheerful. He's very affectionate today, she said. He is learning trust, Zevrath replied. And trust is not something dragons give easily. Leora gently stroked Orlin's small head. I'll be here as long as you need me. Zevrath looked at her with quiet gratitude. Then, we will meet here again tomorrow. Leora nodded, as they left the dome together later. Walking side by side through the quiet hallway, something unspoken flowed between them. A soft connection. Not loud, not dramatic, just gentle, like a slow melody playing underneath their footsteps. Orlin chirped happily between them, his tiny wings fluttering in excitement. And Zevrath glanced at Leora with a warmth that made her heart glow. Neither of them said it out loud yet, but they both felt it. This was only the beginning of something new and bright. The sun, or rather, the artificial sun of Starhaven Station, shone softly through the tall glass walls of the garden dome. Leora walked carefully along the stone path, carrying a small basket filled with things she thought Orlin might enjoy. Soft fabrics, little bells, and a small crystal that reflected light in gentle rainbows. She had spent the previous evening thinking about this moment, wondering how to help the Dragonling feel safe and happy again. When she arrived at the dome, she found Zevrath standing near the pond, watching Orlin play. The tiny Dragonling was flitting around the low shrubs, glowing in soft pastel colors as he hopped from one plant to another. The Dragonling chirped happily, leaving faint sparkles in the air with each movement. Good morning, Leora, Zevrath said, his voice calm but warm. I was hoping you would arrive soon. Orlin has been very eager today. Leora smiled, her nerves melting away at the sight of the happy Dragonling. Good morning. I brought a few things he might like. She placed the basket near the Dragonling, who immediately sniffed and tapped the fabrics with tiny claws, chirping with delight. Zevrath watched this quietly, leaning on a tall branch of a glowing tree. He trusts you already, he observed. It is rare for a Dragonling to connect so quickly with someone outside of their species. I think he just likes kindness, Leora said simply, and music. She pulled out the small crystal and let sunlight pass through it, casting rainbow lights across the garden. Orlin's eyes sparkled at the moving lights, wings fluttering in excitement. You have a talent for understanding him, Zevrath said softly. I have observed him for years, and yet, you bring something that I cannot. Leora blinked. I don't know about that. She knelt on the soft grass, letting Orlin climb into her lap. I only try to understand what he feels. I think that's all any of us can do, really. Zevrath walked closer, folding his wings neatly behind him. He knelt a few steps away, careful not to crowd the space, yet close enough to see every small movement. Your humility is rare, Leora, he said. Even humans often fail to recognize the value of their own acts of kindness. Orlin chirped and nudged Leora's hand, as if agreeing. Leora laughed quietly. He likes you, she said. Or maybe he likes the way you watch him. The Emperor's golden eyes softened. Perhaps it is both. For a while, they simply watched the Dragonling play. The soft hum of water from the pond, the gentle rustle of floating flowers, and the quiet glow of crystal trees created a calm atmosphere. Leora felt at peace. Zevryth, too, seemed quieter than usual, letting himself enjoy the simple moments without the weight of his title. Leora, he said after a while, may I ask you something unusual? She looked at him. Of course. Would you consider spending more time with us? Not only for Orlin, but also for me? His voice was steady, but there was a softness that she had not heard before. Leora blinked. She had expected requests to care for Orlin, to help him adjust, maybe even to teach him simple skills. But for him, She hesitated, unsure what to say. Her heart beat faster than normal. I would like that. I would be happy to. Zevryth's lips curved in a quiet smile, the kind that made her feel both nervous and warm. Orlin chirped in delight, stretching his tiny wings as if cheering the decision. You are remarkable, Leora, Zevryth said gently. Your compassion, your honesty, and your calm nature. Leora shook her head softly. I just do what feels right. I never thought it would matter to, well, someone like you. You underestimate the power of kindness, Zevryth replied. It can change hearts, even those of emperors. Orlin climbed from Leora's lap onto the Emperor's shoulder, wrapping his small tail around Zevryth's neck. Leora watched them, smiling quietly. The sight was so peaceful, father and child, Humyn and Dragonling, sharing a simple moment without words. Zevryth looked at Leora, his golden eyes catching the rainbow light from the crystal trees. I never imagined that someone outside my world could bring such warmth, he admitted. And yet, here you are, showing me that simple care can mean more than titles or commands. Leora felt her cheeks warm. She looked down at her hands. I didn't think I was doing anything special. You are, Zevryth said quietly, and I am grateful. Orlin chirped again, pressing closer to Leora's shoulder as if to remind them both of the bond forming in the quiet garden. Leora stroked his soft scales and hummed a gentle tune she had learned as a child. Orlin's wings fluttered lightly, responding with soft light and warmth. Your song, Zevryth said, watching the small dragonling. It continues to calm him in ways even I cannot achieve alone. Leora looked at him. Then, we can help each other. You take care of him, I take care of him. Together. Zevryth's eyes softened. Yes. Together. Time passed slowly. The three of them wandered through the garden, letting Orlin explore small paths and sparkling streams. Leora found herself laughing quietly at his playful antics, and Zevryth's rare, gentle smiles appeared whenever Orlin did something amusing. Eventually, they arrived at a quiet balcony overlooking the station. Stars shone outside like tiny diamonds, and the nebula beyond cast colors across the glass walls of the dome. Leora leaned against the railing, still holding Orlin, who nuzzled her neck in comfort. Zevryth stood beside her, quiet for a moment, looking out at the starlit view. This is rare, he said softly. To feel peace, to feel trust, to feel warmth. It is something I had almost forgotten existed. Leora glanced at him, noticing the faint flicker of emotion in his golden eyes. It exists, she said gently. Sometimes, we just need to notice it. Zevryth nodded slowly. You have reminded me. He turned slightly to look at her, expression thoughtful. I wish to continue learning this. From you, and with Orlin. Her heart skipped a beat. I would like that too. Orlin chirped happily from her shoulder, glowing softly, his tiny wings brushing gently against Zevryth's arm. It was a small, magical moment, filled with quiet trust and mutual respect. The Emperor smiled again, this time more openly, though still softly. Then, we will continue, step by step. There is no rush. Just presence, kindness, and honesty. Leora nodded. Yes, step by step. For the first time in months, she felt entirely at ease. She realized that this bond was not just about helping a dragonling. It was about sharing moments, being honest with emotions, and trusting that kindness could create bridges between worlds, no matter how different. Zevrith glanced at her once more, then at Orlin. I do not know where this path will lead, he admitted softly. But I know that today, I am grateful for it. For you, for him, for this moment. Leora smiled, a warm, sincere smile. They stayed on the balcony for a while, simply enjoying the quiet. Orlin curled between them, glowing faintly in contentment. The stars above sparkled, and the gentle hum of the station felt like a heartbeat connecting them all. And in that quiet, shared space, something unspoken settled between them, a gentle understanding, a growing trust, and the beginning of a bond that could last across galaxies. No words were needed to explain it. They simply felt it. Hearts had unexpectedly aligned. Two worlds, one dragonling, and a simple act of kindness had created something rare and beautiful. And as the artificial sun of the dome shifted toward evening, Leora, Zevrith, and Orlin stood together quietly, simply, and completely at peace.